Money is completely made up, but also it controls whether you eat today. Right now, while you're watching this, someone just spent $211 on their daily expenses. Someone else just dropped $184,000. Same planet, same 24 hours, completely different realities. In the next 9 minutes, the average person will spend about $16. A millionaire will spend $140. A billionaire? They'll burn through $1.3 million. And somewhere, theoretical economists are calculating what a trillionaire might spend, roughly $126 million while you watch this video. But here's where it gets weird. Let's start with you, or rather, the average you, a statistical human earning about $77,000 a year in 2024. Every morning, you wake up and immediately start hemorrhaging money. Not dramatically, just steadily, like a very expensive leak. Your biggest drain? That roof over your head. 1/3 of everything you earn gets devoured by housing. $25,436 a year. That's $70 every single day just to exist somewhere. But wait, you also need to get places. Another 17% of your income, about $36 a day, goes to transportation. Your car isn't just transportation, it's a money-burning machine on wheels. Fuel, insurance, repairs, and that new tire because you definitely hit that pothole too hard. Then there's food, $27 a day to keep your biological machine running. 2/3 of that goes to groceries, where you've noticed that eggs somehow cost more than your childhood allowance. By the time you've paid for healthcare, $17 a day, insurance, $26 a day, and everything else that keeps modern life from collapsing, you're spending $211 every single day just to maintain your existence. If this sounds depressing, that's because it kind of is. The average American spends more than they save. In fact, 1/3 of Americans admit their lifestyle costs more than they actually earn. They're essentially playing financial Jenga, pulling blocks from the bottom to stack on top, hoping the whole thing doesn't crash. Now let's visit someone different. Someone with a 7-figure net worth. You might expect them to live like a rap video. Gold chains, champagne, maybe a tiger. Plot twist. They don't. The average millionaire spends $412 a month on groceries. The average American, $647. That's right. Millionaires spend 57% less on food than regular people. And it's not because they eat less, they just shop differently. 93% of millionaires use coupons. Let that sink in. People worth millions of dollars are clipping coupons for 50 cents off cereal. When they eat out, they spend $277 a month. The average American, $280. Here's the thing about most millionaires. They didn't inherit their wealth. 79% are first-generation rich. They built their fortune by doing something that sounds boring, but is apparently magical. They spend less than they earn. Revolutionary, right? The typical millionaire saves at least 16% of their income. They drive cars worth less than $75,000, usually much less. They live in normal neighborhoods. They buy clothes at regular stores. They've mastered something most people haven't: the art of being wealthy without looking wealthy. It's like they're playing a different game entirely. While everyone else plays look rich, they play be rich. But then we enter a different universe entirely. The billionaire zone, where money stops being about survival or even comfort and becomes something else. Picture this. It costs $184,000 per day to live like a billionaire. Per day. That's a $100 million mansion generating $15,000 in daily housing costs. A $5 million Bugatti that needs $33,000 tires every 2,500 miles. A private jet burning $50,000 in operating costs daily, and that's if you're being conservative with a small $75 million Gulfstream. Want a yacht? Your 250-foot floating palace runs about $10 million a year just to maintain. That's $27,000 every single day to own a boat you might use twice a month. The crew alone costs more than most people's entire salary. But here's the weird part. Not all billionaires live this way. Warren Buffett, worth $130 billion, lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. He eats McDonald's for breakfast, paying either $2.61, $2.95, or $3.17, depending on how the market is doing. Mark Zuckerberg, worth over $100 billion, wears the same gray t-shirt every day, not because he can't afford variety. His closet is full of identical shirts. He just doesn't want to waste mental energy on clothing decisions. It's a paradox. The people who could most afford to be wasteful are often the most careful with money. Meanwhile, some billionaires own $500 million private jets with concert halls inside. Same wealth bracket, completely different species. Let's zoom out and see something disturbing. Imagine wealth as a mountain. The average person stands at base camp, 77,000 feet up. It took their entire year to climb here. The millionaire is at 1 million feet, 13 times higher. The billionaire is so high up we can't even see them. They're at 1 billion feet, 13,000 times higher than the average person. But it gets more insane. In 1989, the richest 1% owned 23% of all wealth. Today, they own 35%. The bottom 50% of Americans, that's 165 million people, own just 2.8% of everything, combined. If we made this into a pie chart, the richest 1% would get more than a third of the pie. The bottom half would share a sliver so thin you'd need a microscope to see it. The wealth gap is now wider than during the Gilded Age, that period in history literally named after excessive wealth. We've recreated the economic inequality of the 1920s, right before the Great Depression, but with Wi-Fi. Which brings us to something that doesn't exist yet, but probably will soon. The trillionaire. $1 trillion. That's 1,000 billions, a million millions. It's a number so large your brain literally can't comprehend it. But let's try anyway. If you spent $1 million every single day, it would take you 2,740 years to spend $1 trillion. You could buy a $100 million mansion every day for 27 years. You could purchase every single sports team in America and still have hundreds of billions left over. Who's going to get there first? Probably Elon Musk, currently worth $237 billion and growing at 110% annually. At this rate, he'll hit $1 trillion by 2027. Behind him, a queue of tech billionaires racing to this arbitrary but psychologically massive number. But here's the thing about exponential wealth growth. It's not sustainable. Not mathematically, not economically, not socially. Something somewhere has to give. So we have a situation where the average person can barely exist. Millionaires live like middle-class people from the 1980s. Billionaires own flying palaces they use twice a year. Trillionaires are about to exist while poverty won't be eliminated another 229 years. Money, remember, is made up. It's a collective hallucination we all agree to have. But the effects are real, devastatingly real. Here's the brain-breaking part. There's enough wealth right now to ensure no human being goes hungry, homeless, or without health care. The richest 1% gained $42 trillion in the last decade. That's enough to end poverty worldwide several times over. But that's not how our made-up system works. The ancient Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius, who could have anything, wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life." Easy to say when you own the known world, but modern research backs him up. Studies show that happiness increases with income up to about $75,000 a year, right around our average person's income. After that, diminishing returns. A billionaire isn't 13,000 times happier than you. They can't be. The human brain doesn't have that range. Yet we've built a system where some people burn through more money in a day than others see in a lifetime, where jets sit empty while families sleep in cars, where we'll have trillionaires before we have universal health care. But here's the real plot twist. You're probably not average. Nobody is. That 77,000 average, it's pulled up by high earners. The median, the actual middle, is lower. Half of Americans make less than $35,000. Globally, if you make $35,000, you're in the top 1% of Earth's population. Suddenly, you're the billionaire to someone else. This isn't meant to make you feel guilty or grateful. It's meant to break your brain a little bit, because perspective is everything, and everything is perspective. In the 9 minutes you've watched this, approximately 1,000 people worldwide fell below the poverty line. The world's billionaires collectively gained $18 million. Someone bought a $50,000 watch they'll wear twice. Someone else couldn't afford insulin. Same planet, same species, same made-up money system controlling real lives. You can't fix this by using coupons like millionaires or buying fewer lattes. The problem isn't individual choices, it's the system itself. A system where money makes money faster than work makes money, where being rich is the most effective way to get rich. But remember, money is fiction, and fiction can be rewritten. The question is, who's holding the pen?